Magneto was right.
Enough. X-Men are in for a serious Marvel makeover. Kevin Feige just shared some exciting updates about the upcoming MCU take on the X-Men, and it sounds like they're heading in a bold new direction. Speaking at a press event for the Fantastic Four First Steps, Feige confirmed that Jake Schreier, best known for directing Thunderbolts, will be at the helm of the new X-Men movie. And here's the big twist, it's going to be youth-focused. That means younger mutants, brand new faces, and a fresh take on what it's like to grow up feeling different from everyone else. Feige explained that the core of the X-Men story has always been about young people who feel like outsiders, and that's exactly the angle the MCU plans to explore. That's the universal story of mutants, he said, and it's the emotional backbone they want to build this next chapter around. In an interview with The Playlist, Schreier added his own thoughts, saying the new film will be recognizably different from previous X-Men movies. He's drawn to the rich source material, full of complex characters and emotional challenges, like identity struggles and the search for belonging. It's that kind of layered storytelling he's most excited to bring to life. And this shift hasn't come out of nowhere. The MCU has been teasing the arrival of mutants for a while now, especially more recently. So let's break it down. Here's every time the MCU has hinted at the X-Men. The Incredible Hulk, 2008. The MCU's first real X-Men tease actually happened way back in The Incredible Hulk, and most fans missed it. In the 2008 film, Thunderbolt Ross gives Emil Blonsky a version of the super soldier serum to help him take down the Hulk, eventually turning him into the Abomination. But here's the key detail. That serum wasn't just a throwback to Steve Rogers. It came from a program labeled Weapons Plus, the same shady government initiative from the comics that eventually leads to Weapon X, the brutal experiment that gave Wolverine his adamantium skeleton. Even wilder, the serum was produced by Stark Industries and tied to Dr. Abraham Erskine, the original creator of the Captain America serum. So right there, the MCU's second movie, Marvel quietly linked Cap, Hulk, and Wolverine under one messed-up military program. The Maximoff twins have special genetics. Even before Disney owned the X-Men, Marvel Studios found subtle ways to hint at mutants, especially with Wanda and Pietro Maximoff. In the post-credits scene of Captain America the Winter Soldier, the twins were shown as Hydra test subjects who somehow survived experiments with the Mind Stone. By Avengers Age of Ultron, they officially debuted as Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Now, in the comics, they're famously Magneto's children, literal mutants. The MCU couldn't go that route back then due to Fox owning the X-Men rights. So instead, Marvel framed them as rare survivors of illegal superpower experiments. But things got even more interesting in 2020's The Wakanda Files, an in-universe journal written by Shuri. She noted that the Maximoffs had unique genetic markers, suggesting latent superhuman abilities, basically the MCU's safe way of saying, yeah, they're kinda mutants. So while the MCU couldn't legally call them that at the time, Wanda and Pietro were always mutant adjacent, and now that Marvel fully owns the rights, that door's wide open. Mysterious lightning strikes in the 1970s hint at Storm. Avengers Endgame may have been packed with emotional moments and epic battles, but it also slipped in a sneaky nod to one of the most iconic X-Men, Storm. During the time heist sequence, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark travel back to the 1970s to grab more Pym particles and another Tesseract. While Steve is sneaking through the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility, he overhears Peggy Carter in conversation, mentioning Braddock's unit, a clear reference to Captain Britain. But the real kicker is when Peggy notes that the issue isn't the lightning strikes themselves, but something stranger, despite weather projections showing nothing unusual. That's likely not just random chatter. In the comics, Storm, aka Aurora Monroe, is a powerful mutant who can control the weather, and lightning is kind of her thing. It's a subtle line, but it hints that someone like Storm could have existed as far back as the 70s in the MCU timeline. So while Endgame was closing one chapter, it might have also been quietly opening the door to the future, one where mutants like Storm were already out there, just hidden in the background. Mutant Sanctuary Madripoor comes to the MCU. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't just explore post-blip politics and super soldier fallout, it also gave fans a major X-Men Easter egg by introducing Madripoor. In the MCU, Madripoor is shown as a lawless island in Southeast Asia, full of crime, pirates, and shady deals. But longtime Marvel fans know it has deep ties to mutant lore. In the comics, Madripoor has been heavily featured in X-Men stories, especially with Wolverine. He once used it as a hideout under the alias Patch during a time when the world thought all mutants were dead. So while the show never outright says mutants, bringing Madripoor into the MCU was a huge move. It quietly sets the stage for a future where mutants, especially ones in hiding, could already be living there. Evan Peters' Quicksilver returns, sort of. WandaVision gave fans one of the biggest jaw-dropping moments when Evan Peters showed up as Pietro Maximoff in Episode 5. For a second, it looked like Marvel had just cracked open the multiverse and brought in the Quicksilver from Fox's X-Men universe. But as the show went on, it turned out to be a clever and kind of frustrating bait-and-switch. Instead of being the real deal, Peters' character was just a Westview resident named Ralph Boner, magically manipulated by Agatha Harkness. So no, it wasn't the MCU merging with Fox's mutant universe, just a massive nod to fans who knew Peters as Quicksilver elsewhere. Even though it didn't confirm the multiverse at the time, it was the first real moment where the MCU openly acknowledged the Fox X-Men universe. It teased possibilities, like variants, alternate timelines, and yes, mutants, in a way the franchise hadn't before. So while the reveal turned out to be more of a joke, it was still a big step toward normalizing crossover ideas that the MCU is now starting to fully explore. Professor Charles Xavier joins the Illuminati. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness finally gave fans what WandaVision only teased, the first real on-screen mutant in the MCU, Professor Charles Xavier. Appearing as part of Earth 838's Illuminati, this version of Xavier is unmistakably the classic Professor X, from the hover chair straight out of the 90s X-Men the Animated Series to the iconic theme music that plays when he enters. While he doesn't outright say the word mutant, his presence confirms that mutants do exist in other universes within the MCU's multiverse. This wasn't a cameo for cameo's sake either. He's shown wielding his signature telepathic powers, though sadly, he's no match for Wanda, who kills him in one of the film's most chilling scenes. Still, having Charles Xavier show up, not just as a nod but as the founder of the X-Men, was Marvel's first real step toward bringing mutants into the fold. No tricks, no illusions. And now that Ms. Marvel has confirmed a mutant on Earth 616, Professor X's appearance looks less like a one-off and more like a sign of what's to come. Hulk always had latent superhero genetics. In She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law Episode 1, Bruce Banner drops an interesting bit of science that could have big implications for the MCU's mutant future. While explaining how Jennifer Walters becomes She-Hulk, Bruce mentions that they both share a rare combination of genetic factors that allows their bodies to process gamma radiation safely. Basically, their unique genes are what keep them from dying during their Hulk transformations. Now, Bruce doesn't use the word mutation outright, but the implication is there, that some people are genetically predisposed to survive events that would kill others. This quietly puts Hulk in the same conversation as characters like Kamala Khan, whose mutant status was made more explicit. If Marvel continues down this road, Hulk's transformation might retroactively be seen as the result of a mutant-like gene, not just a freak accident. That could open the door to explaining why some people in the MCU can become superheroes while others can't. And it may also hint that mutations have been in the MCU all along, just waiting to be identified. Kelsey Grammer's Beast returns. Kelsey Grammer's surprise return as Beast in the Marvels was a major turning point for the MCU, and arguably the biggest X-Men-related moment yet. In the post-credit scene, Monica Rambeau wakes up in a different reality after helping to close an interdimensional rift. There, she meets none other than Dr. Hank McCoy, aka Beast, played by Grammer just like in X-Men The Last Stand. But this time, he's CGI-enhanced and working in a lab that looks straight out of the original Fox X-Men films. His tech even shows the classic X-Men logo, and he mentions updating Charles, making it clear Professor X is alive and leading the team in that world. This cameo didn't just reference another universe, it seemed to confirm Monica had landed in the Fox X-Men universe. Unlike Patrick Stewart's Xavier in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, who was a one-off variant in an alternate timeline, Beast appears to be part of an active, fully functional X-Men team. That adds weight to the theory that the MCU might bring the Fox universe into the fold using an incursion, a concept introduced in Multiverse of Madness where two universes collide and one, or both, are destroyed or merged. That could explain how the X-Men eventually show up in the main MCU timeline. Rather than just recasting all the mutants, Marvel might blend timelines, letting a few legacy actors like Grammer or Stewart return while rebooting the rest. Deadpool and Wolverine was a X-Men tease buffet. Deadpool and Wolverine doesn't just reunite two fan-favorite mutants, it cracks open the multiverse and sets the stage for where Marvel's biggest storylines could go next. Rather than merging into the MCU's sacred timeline, the movie confirms that Universe 10005, the original Fox X-Men universe, still exists. Deadpool and a variant Wolverine, from a doomed universe where all the X-Men are dead, team up to save it from annihilation by TVA agent Mr. Paradox. In the end, that Wolverine stays in the Fox timeline, effectively reviving the franchise and giving it a future independent of the MCU. This gives Marvel a new multiversal option. Instead of rebooting the X-Men in the MCU, they might continue the Fox universe alongside it. Mr. Paradox hints that Deadpool is vital to the future of the multiverse. It's a joke, but also a setup. Whether through TVA connections, his unique awareness of meta-reality, or just his wild card potential, Deadpool is no longer just comic relief. He might be the connective tissue across multiverse-spanning events like Secret Wars. Also, the unexplained scene of Thor crying over Deadpool's body, that's a major unanswered thread. Whether it's foreshadowing Deadpool's sacrifice in Avengers Secret Wars or just a gag, it adds mystery to his future role. Channing Tatum's Gambit's return. Channing Tatum finally got to play Gambit, just not quite the way fans expected. In a Deadpool and Wolverine deleted scene, Tatum's Remy LeBeau is shown surviving the destruction of the Void. As he stares into a multiversal portal, it's clear he made it out, and Marvel left that door wide open. This was a full-circle moment for Tatum, who was once attached to a solo Gambit movie back when Fox still held the X-Men rights. That project famously fell apart, but this cameo gives fans a taste of what could have been, and maybe still could be. So, what's next for his Gambit? It's officially confirmed that he could pop up in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. There's also a wild card idea. Tatum becomes the main Gambit in the MCU's upcoming X-Men reboot. It's a long shot, but after seeing the strong fan demand, they might go for it. This version of Gambit has momentum, and Tatum's passion for the role isn't new. It's been brewing for nearly a decade. Beside him, Daphne Keane sounds all in on sticking with the MCU as X-23, and honestly, Marvel would be smart to keep her around. After first playing Laura in Logan back in 2017, Keane made her big return in Deadpool and Wolverine, and fans loved seeing her again, especially since she survived the chaos of the Void and actually made it out. That puts her in a prime spot to keep showing up in future MCU projects. In an interview with Empire magazine, she straight up said, "I would 100% do this for the rest of my life." That kind of enthusiasm is rare, and considering she's only 19, Marvel could easily build a whole future around her version of Wolverine, either on her own or alongside another Logan down the line. Doomsday casting chairs. Now the biggest tease came from a 5.5-hour-long cast reveal video. Several iconic mutants from the Fox-era X-Men films are making a return, and honestly, it's giving major multiverse energy. First off, Patrick Stewart is back as Professor X, continuing his MCU journey after Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness cameo. Alongside him is Ian McKellen returning as Magneto, which is huge considering the legacy he's built with that role. And that's just the start. Alan Cumming is also coming back as Nightcrawler, something longtime fans have been hoping for since X2. Rebecca Romijn, Mystique, and James Marsden, Cyclops, are both joining the party, and yes, Channing Tatum is stepping into the role of Gambit for Doomsday. And let's not forget Kelsey Grammer as Beast. After the Marvel's post-credit scene, Doomsday will give him a bit more screen time. The group of returning X-Men is expected to play a big role in the movie's storyline, especially since Secret Wars is on the horizon and the MCU is headed for a full reset or refresh. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking around to dive into every wild and subtle way the MCU has been teasing the X-Men. With all these clues, from ancient mutants like Namor to multiversal cameos and fourth wall breaks, it's clear Marvel's laying serious groundwork for something epic. Whether it's a full reboot, a multiverse merge, or something totally unexpected, the X-Men's MCU arrival is shaping up to be one of the biggest moments in superhero cinema. What do you think? Is Marvel going to bring in a whole new cast, or will we see a blend of old and new faces? Drop your theories in the comments, and hey, if you want more deep dives, Easter eggs, and future updates on everything mutant related, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a thing. Catch you in the next one.